Hi, everybody, and welcome to Speaker Success Training. If we have not met yet, my name is Gail Watson. I'm founder and CEO of Women Speakers Association, and this is our monthly event that we host to help you accelerate you in to. Sorry, I just had a comment there. Somebody can't hear me. so,
Just
um,
try increasing your volume, Melissa. I think I can hear you fine.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. That we're here to help you, support you, and our mission here is to promote your message. Every message matters. There's no message greater, there's no message less than your message. And I'm super excited about today's session. We are here with the amazing Laura Rubenstein. You may know her from WSA TV's The Premier Woman Show as our host, or you may also know her as our fearless leader who holds our hands and turns us all into best-selling authors during Voices of the 21st Century. But here's some things you may not know about Laura. She is an award winning social media and marketing strategist, certified hypnotherapist, master leadership coach, speaker, and best selling author of the book Social Media Myths Busted, the small business guide to online revenue. She fuels women entrepreneurs' visions through profit generating strategies. Her influencer marketing platform, Social Buzz Club, is fantastic, and you can reach her at transformtoday.com. So let's dive in. We have a lot of comments of if you're looking to take your story or find that story and learn how to put it out into a clear, concise form, you're in the right place. Laura's going to guide us through actually a very interactive time today. So, Laura, I'll pass it off to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. All right, everyone. We're going to jump in. For those of you who haven't answered my question, how many of you want to be published or write something in the next 12 months? Or maybe you have a project you're already working on. So just put, if it's you, say me. So great. All right. All right. Me. That's great. Kate is published in 2022 and beginning second. Yes, this is a great time to think about your next thing that you're doing. Yes. Okay, great. Liz and Karen and Marcia and Adriana. Wonderful. So you're in the right place. So I'm going to share my screen with this new fancy sharing system. And if you, oh, great, Liz. And I'm assuming, Liz, you raised your hand because yes, you're going to be publishing. So wonderful. Okay. So let's talk about impact stories today. That's really what today's session's all about. And in particular, when you can do it concisely, you can do it over and over and over, right? You have different chapters in a book, or you may have one chapter you want to write in a book. So that's where we're going to spend our focus time. And we actually have for you a worksheet that we're going to put in the chat here. I'll put the there's the link to the worksheet. And what you want to do is either make a copy of it. It's a Google Sheet. If you like using Google Sheets, you can make a copy, or you can download it using the menu at the top left, that file menu. Select make a copy, or you can scroll down a little bit and select download. Just choose your format that you want it in, and you can follow along today, or have a piece of paper handy and just answer my questions as I ask you. So this is an interactive working session. Okay. So you don't need to just listen. It's not passive. It's about you being involved today. I will look at your chats as well. So you can ask questions as we go along here. Does everybody get that? The link is in the chat for you to get a copy of this and go ahead and download it. So while you're downloading it, let's talk about what you're going to discover today. Okay, great. Thanks for letting me know, Sally and Barbara. Wonderful. All right. So first of all, some of you might be like just curious in the curiosity phase, or yeah, you want to get published, but you're not sure what you're going to write about or if you're good enough. But it all starts with why. Once you have a why, then we can take off. Then you need to have a story. So we're going to talk about how do you identify your impact story. And then finally, how to captivate readers with your story, because not all stories are going to be interesting. Well, maybe they are, but you need to know how to write them to be interesting. And then there's always that writer's block that needs to be overcome. If you have any angst, you might run into some writer's block. And then we're going to show you a way you can actually become a best-selling author in the next 12 months, which is super exciting. So I'm so excited you're here to join me for this. I hope you are too. I want to know where everybody's at. I kind of want to take a little poll. If you can put in the chat, how do you feel about writing a story right now? Like if I said write a impactful story, 10, okay, great, you're ready. 8, just on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm not ready. And it's okay wherever you are, because I'm going to get you higher up. Okay, we got 3, 1, 5, 5, right in the middle, good. All right, 7, nice. 5's good. Okay. Yeah, and I'm seeing from existing authors that you're not quite ready, but you're willing. 5 means you're willing, 3 means you're a little hesitant. Anything above a 5 is you're on your path. And I'm going to get you closer to the 10 mark today. Okay, that's my goal for you, my intention today, for sure. So it's good to see you. 9, wonderful, Sally and Liz and Bridget. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so what I want to do is share with you a little from one of our authors, Janet Sawyer. So here at Women Speakers Association, every year we come out with a book. It's called Voices of the 21st Century. Each book has its own theme. And Janet was in a book a couple of years ago. She actually was in a couple versions of the book. Sometimes you want to become a multiple time best-selling author, and there's nothing wrong with that. But here, I thought what Janet has to say about her journey is really addresses a lot of people's concerns. So let's listen to Janet.
Good. You know, last year I was able to get involved with the Voices of the 21st Century, passionate women who make a difference. And it was 40 women that came together through WSA. And we all met on Zoom and we had a story to tell. And I know there are people out there, oh, I have a story. Well, maybe people don't want to hear my story. And you could be so wrong. You're just so wrong about that, because we all have a story to share. And I remember us coming together on Zoom once a month and hearing about each other's story and how insecure we were and how we didn't know what to do. And is somebody really going to want to read our story? And we encouraged each other. 40 women around the world encouraging each other to have the courage enough to write a 3.5-page story that's going to totally impact somebody's life. But I didn't take it as seriously. I enjoyed the interaction. I had a good time with meeting all these women. But I really, really didn't understand the impact that it was going to have on my life. And so we went through the book launch and we celebrated, and it was so exciting, and the support all along the way. You never are alone. You get to come together and meet. Things that you have to post on to help launch the book are already written for you. All you have to do is copy it, put your name, the title of your story, the hashtags are there. You pop it into your Facebook, your Instagram, or whatever platform you use, and boom, the picture of the book shows up. That was kind of exciting because I didn't know how to do all that, but they already take you through. The support is unbelievable. But I'll never forget when it really hit me that I had done something wonderful. And that was, I got a box, and I opened the box, and I had my book, and it had my name on it. And I felt it, and I could not believe that I had done this. And then it was an international bestseller book. And now I can call myself a #1 international best-selling author. It did something to my confidence that I can never explain. And so what I did is I sent my books to all my family members, and I told them about my experience. And then all of a sudden, I had people calling me, how did you get involved? Well, I joined the Women Speakers Association. Oh, JJ, I don't want to be a speaker. And so I want to address that comment. Women's Speakers Association is about speaking. And at first it was about being on stage and maybe doing podcasts and things like that. But what I found is that we all speak all the time. We're either speaking to our children, we're either speaking to our coworkers. It just, it was more than just getting on stage. It was more about understanding who you are, how you show up, how do you describe yourself? You know, it makes you go through all those kinds of things. And so it's so much bigger than the name that says Women Speakers Association. So I started to share that with them and they started to go, huh? So then, of course, they became part of the book. And so there are 3 others I was able to bring along with me for the new book called Women's, Voices of the 21st Century, Women Who Rise and to make a difference. So that's that's what message I would like to leave for you. You have a story and somebody needs to hear it. Somebody needs to hear it. My first story was called I'm Here. Now what? And the answer to that question led me to write my own book published by WSA called Mirroring Your Vision. This book, that story, people reached out to me from all over and they got the book. And I'm getting stories from people about how they use my 8 steps to help identify exactly what your purpose is for today, moving forward, and how it's changed their life. Just that one story, 3.5 pages. Your story is important too. So I really encourage everybody and anybody, and especially if you want to be with women that are just like you, scared to death, but do it anyway. Thank you.
And thank you, Janet. Oh my gosh, was that amazing to hear that, a story can change a life. And let's just take a moment to imagine what's possible. What's possible when you contemplate having a best-selling book? What can it do for you? What transformations are possible for you when you share your story in a best-selling book? This can be personally, professionally. A speech definitely can change a life, but a book is on a shelf for a long time. A speech is a fleeting moment. And we love speaking, of course, and we want you to speak over and over again. And your book can actually get you on stages, right? Yeah, the book is such an accomplishment being on the other side of it and looking to get the message on stage. Good, wonderful. Yeah. So think about, what do you want to accomplish by telling your story? We have so many real life examples, and you can put that, what do you want to accomplish by sharing your story? You're welcome to put that answer if you have one. And if not, keep thinking about it, jot it down. What do you want to accomplish by telling your story? So JJ just said she got inspired and then published her own book. She got inspired, not only did she get inspired, but other people got inspired, and that inspired her to write her own book. It helps you put yourself out there in a bigger way, get more visibility. We have seen many authors step into their vision and make a bigger impact because of one story, 1,000-word story. Yes, Barbara, I want to inspire others to believe they can live a life they absolutely love. Absolutely. Wonderful. We've had authors like our authors, Paula Kramer, Tracy Eman, who's here, Lucky Lordson. They got press in their regions. And, it was the first time they were able to get press and speaking engagements and podcast interviews just by presenting the book, The Voices of the 21st Century book in particular. Yeah, someone needs to hear your message, and that can be an inspiration that changes their whole story. That's right. Our author is Zanita Johns. She is a poet. She wrote poem for the last couple of books the last year in Voices of the 21st Century. And now she's gone on to win awards. She's published 4 of her own books, and she's a 4-time best-selling author through the Voices of the 21st Century. Yes, opening up others to their possibilities and get more speaking engagements. Wonderful. Yes, that's exactly what a book. Transform fear into love that transforms generational trauma. There's a story there, Melody. I love it. Tracy, to impact just one person, it's a ripple effect. It really is. And it comes back to you, so you are impacting other people, but that's impacting you to do more of your work too. It's inspiring you to get out there. So might your influence and reach grow and credibility grow? You bet. Having a book gives you another revenue stream as well. So, having more than one book gives you more than one revenue stream, gives you many more options and markets to get in front of. You also get content out of it. You can repurpose the content that's in your story on your website, get more SEO, get listed as an author on Amazon, on Goodreads, things like that. So there's so many things. So hopefully each of you have put something on your worksheet about these 2 questions. What transformations are possible when you share your story, and what do you want to accomplish by sharing your story? And this is key in preparing to write a story and determining what you want to write as your story, right? So, all right. So let's think about the types of stories you can write. Now that we've established there's great benefits to publishing and becoming a best-selling author, let's get into where to begin to become a bestseller. And that's your impact story. Okay. So your impact story is one that may be inspirational. It may take us on a journey of transformation. So it might be transformational. You might recount significant life events and relationships. The story might showcase how your expertise was created, or how your expertise created an impact on someone else, so that it demonstrates your credibility. You might offer a story as an analogy of a life lesson to be learned, that offers hope and enlightenment and or paradigm. And you know what? Your stories are happening every day. I mean, you might think you have this one overarching big story, and you might have this, what they call that signature story, but it's not the only story of impact for you. Guaranteed. You could be at the grocery store tomorrow and something happens, and that could be a story because you realized the ripple effect of something, that whatever happened, or you met somebody, it just, I'm thinking of 2 stories that actually happened to me at a grocery store that I could probably write 1,000 words about, with a message that is inspirational, transformational. May not be the legacy one, but it's definitely there. So when you hear the types of impact stories that are possible, what experiences come to mind? Jot them down. What are the little vignettes in your life that have occurred? Because likely you have one more than one. And so you can choose from, a selection if you're someone who likes choice. That is, I like choice. So it's often a good thing to do. All right. So when you go to write your story, we want to know what makes a good impact story, because there's all kinds of stories. For example, we've seen collaborative books before, like Chicken Soup for the Soul and our Voices of the 21st Century is what we do here at Women's Speakers Association. We want those stories. They have an emotional impact. When you read them, you can't stop reading them. When you start it, you're like, oh, I got to finish this story. So it's a story. It's not a how-to article, right? So if any of you were thinking you're going to write a how-to article and it's going to be a bestseller, I'm here to tell you that won't transform somebody's life as much as a story will. That has a character in it and something happened to the character, and likely it's you, you and somebody else, and they go through a journey together. And we're going to talk about how to write that. So typically your stories are not step-by-step coaching, self-help coaching articles or how-to articles, not in a collaborative book. And in fact, if you're going to write your own book, make sure you have stories in there, these vignettes, like I'm talking about incidents that happen that prove a point. It makes for much better reading than step 1, do this, step 2, do this, and think about this concept. It's just dry if you're writing a self-help book, because people want to read personal stories that dig deeper, offer insights and a way out, and there's a hero in them, and they can see themselves in that hero. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah, you gotta be vulnerable. You have to be willing to be vulnerable. So exactly, Tracy, people can make connection with you and their story, and have like a light bulb moment. Because when they have those light bulb moments, that's when you're making the impact. So if you're used to writing those how-to articles, that's fine for your blog. Start to think about a story, something that happened to you in your life that illustrates your process. To demonstrate your expertise, a story will be way more compelling and memorable too, and inspire them and connects you, like Tracy said. So here's an example. If you're an expert in health and wellness or weight loss, and instead of offering weight loss tips or your healthy dieting tips, you can talk about how you became an expert. How was it for you before your health transformed? What was the deciding point? Were you struggling with your weight? Or do you know somebody who was struggling with their health and that you saw a transformation? What happened? What was the pattern? What they tried everything. They never felt good enough. They felt shameful at the doctor's office. And one day something happened. Maybe they read a book. Maybe they had a conversation. Maybe they watched a video. Maybe they realized they were using their weight as a shield to protect themselves from relationships. There was an emotional trigger that they always ate when they saw their parents fighting, and something. And then they made a powerful choice and went on this journey and found their calling for health and wellness. So that's far more compelling if you take them through a journey like that, right? You can, rather than the meals you eat, the meals they should eat, and the calories they should count or do a detox. Yeah, people look for that. Write those in the blogs. People won't necessarily buy a book just on that. So avoid teaching about tools, rather model them through the story, because it becomes preachy, and we don't want you to preach in an impact story, right? An impact story, as I said, brings people on a journey. That means you need to know why you're writing your story. And that's why we started off with the visioning of what being a best-selling author will do for you. And also, what will it do for next we want to go to what will it do for the reader? I think some of you have already begun thinking about that, because there's two purposes to consider before choosing your story. For what purpose are you writing it for yourself? And for what purpose, what is the benefit you want to provide a reader with? Okay. So what is that reader craving right now? So we're going to give you an opportunity to write your purpose on your worksheet, but we want to give you some examples first. Okay. So let's go to some examples and where they are. So in one of our Voices of the 21st Century books, Dr. Yvette McQueen wrote a story called From Failure to Recovery. So what was her purpose? Her purpose, when she set out, why did she even want to put herself out there, right? It was for visibility and credibility. She has a business. She's a doctor. She wants to become more known in the travel medicine industry. And she wanted to be inspiring and relatable to others. Okay. So then that's her purpose. The reader's purpose, she thought she could help them understand how to move forward from failure. And she was going to do that. And you can either think of the story you want and then figure out what the reader purpose is, or think about the reader benefit you want to provide, or think of the benefit first and then create a story, or find the story that works best for that. So her story was how she didn't get into med school. at first. Then she did and flunked out. And then she took additional steps and eventually graduated. So it was like the failure forward. And it makes you very relatable, her very relatable. And it also shows you her dedication that, you know, she was young and she's forgiven herself and she's failed forward, right? And she's now successful. So that's one example. We have Karen Anderson, who's on the call. And Karen, you can maybe speak more to your purpose, but I think you wanted to create awareness for your foundation, Escape to Better, for people experiencing domestic violence and or emotional or verbal abuse. And then the reader benefit is to know that they're not alone, right? That what they're feeling, including being unable to act, is valid, but they don't have to remain stuck. And Karen's story is about the time she was chased by her partner with a carving knife and what it took to get out of a abusive situation. So it's a compelling story. I'm not going to tell you any more about it because it's a really good story. I just read it this morning again, Karen. So thank you. I wrote a story in one of our previous Voices of the 21st Century books. I write many of them, in most of them. And this one is called When Women Gather, the World Changes. And my purpose, my personal purpose, is visibility for my feminine power cards. So I have a deck of wisdom cards called the Feminine Power Cards. One of the cards, the quote on it says, "When women gather, the world changes." And I wanted to create a story that demonstrated that. And for the reader, the benefit that I wanted to was to inspire them to step into their feminine and show that model for them how I embodied this during an ordinary day. So this was about a walk that I took. I chose a story about an ordinary day and how the world changed as a result. And again, you'll have to buy the Voices of the 21st Century. That's the 2020 edition, is the one I wrote in for that. We have another story from Cheryl Peltikis. Maybe. Anyway, Cheryl's story is called Walking in Darkness. And she was also in the 2020 book. And her purpose was teaching. She wanted to be teaching by recounting a personal experience, and she wanted recognition as a best-selling author. Your purpose could be become a best-selling author. That is perfectly fine. Okay. That means you need a compelling story. And the benefit, though, to the reader is completely different. That is to share a lesson learned through the journey and inspire readers to move past their fear, because this was about her being in a lot of fear, and attain the next level of success because likely you've done it before. So this is her story of how she used past successes to move through fear, and her experience walking through a cave as an analogy for drawing on her past achievements and success in the midst of a challenge, like a really scary challenge for her in the dark, in a cave. So those are some examples. I hope you're seeing some inspiration from them, because now is your time to start working on your story. Okay, we've gotten to that point in our class here to identify your impact story. And on your worksheet, you'll see these questions, and we're going to take some time to have you work on them. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat for sure. And but you want to establish your purpose first for what you want out of sharing a story. And it could be becoming a best-selling author. It could be becoming more visible. It could be getting over fear, anything. And so what you want to do is answer these questions. What are you passionate about? You know, what is the gift or legacy you want to give the world or clients? What story or life experience points to that? How will your story position you and add to your credibility? Or what do you want to accomplish from being published? You definitely want to put that in there. What message do you want to impart, and how will the reader benefit? So get either your notepads out, or a blank pen and paper is fine too, because there's not much room on the worksheet if you've printed that out. But however it is, I'm going to give you 5 minutes right now to do that. And feel free to write any ahas and or questions in the chat. Maybe I'll play some music.
Midterms are starting next week, so with tough school times like this, it is important to set yourself up for success. Genuinely use Grammarly.
One minute left. And if you've started, your purpose, why do you want to write? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Okay, that's a little abrupt. Sorry about that. All right, we have spent a little time, and um, and Sally's saying be unstoppable. I love that. It's so empowering to write your own story and to get it out there and to be fearless. You actually take other people's excuses away for not writing as well just by putting your story out there. So I want to invite you all to embrace your stories. And I'm also looking for, what is the benefit for the reader? What stories are you thinking? Well, not even what stories, but what benefits do you want your reader to have by identifying your impact story, by sharing your story? When you chat to everyone if you can. What is your purpose and what is the reader's benefit? Share in the chat. Either one. And I love that Sally says, be unstoppable. And Tracy's saying, inspiring others to find the silver lining. Yeah. And I mean, when you inspire others, you're inspiring yourself at the same time too. Motivation, being inspiring. Great. This is awesome. So let's talk about, okay, and Sally's saying, despite extreme negative circumstances, you can overcome with tenacity and grit. Absolutely. And feel free, Sally, when you type, to do to everyone, select everyone instead of just hosts. And Melody saying, seeing a different side to what's believed about you. Absolutely. And Marie, the knowledge that they have a choice. Yes, they have the power, leads to freedom and contentment and joy. Absolutely. Somebody's waiting to hear these messages. And Barbara is about inspiring readers to believe that they can experience success and fulfillment in life, and it's never too late. Yeah, awesome. All right, perfect. All right, so, and you can feel free to continue adding yours. So what are those impact stories? It sounds like you have something in mind, because impact stories happen every day. Keep a file or a notepad where you can jot them down. Note what happened. Okay, there's a few things. What happened? What was the resolution? And how did it get resolved, right? Right. So Jean is saying, understanding if I can do it, they can do it, right? Absolutely. And Kashan sharing lessons that might be life-changing for others. Yeah. So what are those life-changing, the stories that had the lesson? Oh, and Sally, despite extreme negative circumstances, you can overcome with your tenacity and grit. Exactly. All right. So I want you to draw a connection. The next step is draw a connection from this benefit to the reader and your purpose to a story. You want to, your story must accomplish both your purpose and the benefit you want to the reader, right? So what is that story? What happened to you? So some prompts you could use is, what happened to you that made you, what transformed you or made you better? When did you have a realization about something? So I'm trying to prompt you for the exact incidents that you can turn into your impact story. And then you want to develop your impact story. So if you have that in mind, how many of you have in mind an incident or a story you're thinking of that's going to be inspiring or helped you overcome? Yeah, good. So we've got some people. Yes, Kashan, Melody, Karen, thumbs up. Okay, great. So now you're ready. Okay, great. Marcia, Bridget, I love it. Amber, so what you're saying is, yes, I have a story and now you're ready to write it. How do you write it? Well, as we know, most stories have a beginning, middle, and end, but I'm going to give you a little bit nuanced on this. So beginning, you want to set the stage with a time and a place and the main characters. It was 2025, or it was 1985, whatever it was. You could say, my mother said this, or however you want to start it out, but you set the stage with a character and or a place and a time, ideally. Then what happened? What was the trouble? What was the challenge, the struggle? Who was the villain? Build the tension. Don't resolve it yet. Don't resolve it. And spend a little bit of time, a couple paragraphs. And it's good to keep writing. Don't worry about how many words you need to write. And then what was the outcome? What happened after this challenge? How did you address it? you know, and then what happened? And then what did you realize after that? What's you want to leave people with? Like you said, if I can do it, you can do it. So is this framework a little helpful for you? Because you want, in the middle, you want to walk the, yeah, great. Walk the reader through the experience. Wonderful. I'm glad this is helpful. And in the middle here, so the beginning kind of sets the stage. The middle is where you build that tension. You really want to have people feel what you were feeling. So you got to be vulnerable. Yes. You got to be willing to say, I was devastated, or I was challenged, or I struggled with X, Y, and Z. So they could actually feel it in themselves as if they were there. And then you will resolve the tension by how this, you'll say, well, how you overcame this. What did you do? What happened? Who rescued you? Or what was it in you that you were able to do finally? Or who helped you? You know, a lot of times the message is you don't have to do it alone. And this doesn't have to be some big tragedy or monumental event. It could be, like I said, an incident at the grocery store, something that happened. It could be, like I wrote in the last book, something that happened on a 1-hour airplane ride. And Sally saying, despite the fact that I had no control over being found in the pasture with a broken hip, it was cold and drizzling. I had to laugh at God and say, if you want me to continue on with my mission, you're going to have to send somebody. It's a great opening, or great pieces of your story. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So, yeah. So you ladies have this, right? Any questions on this? I will definitely take questions from you for this, because we're now, this is the outline of your story. Set the stage. What are you going through? What's the outcome? What was the teaching point? So I want you to each write down the answers to those 4 questions. And in a minute, like a minute each question. Set the stage. Where and when does this start? Who's there? What are they going through? What happens? What's the outcome? Or what's resolved? And what's the teaching point? When you're done, say done in the chat. Oh, good, Amber. You're not writing it, you're just outlining it. Where and when does this take place? What's happening? What's the outcome? And what's the teaching point? And it's okay to put question marks for now, if nothing's coming to you. All right, Marcia's on it. All right, done, done, done. All right, who wants to share one? What they got? Karen, are you wanting to share? All right, all right. So let's view the hands. I'm going to let Karen speak. Go ahead, Karen.
Yes, hello everyone. So I am actually building my story on the day after the story that I talked about in this year's Voices of the 21st Century. And really the lesson that I want to come out of that is that sometimes in life there are no good decisions, just the decisions you want to, or the decisions you can live with.
Wow. Awesome. I can't wait to read it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Wonderful. And Sally, go ahead and share.
It was January, about 45 degrees, and it was drizzling. I was out in the pasture with my two mini horses, one of whom thought I was his mother because his own mom had died. And by him doing that, he was playfully pawing at me, and I stepped to avoid him onto the muddy ground and fell. I had no cell phone service. I had no neighbors around other than about 5 acres away. And when I fell, I had this extreme pain in my leg. And I thought, oh, heck, I can just crawl back to the house. But when your leg is broken, you can't move. So I'm laying there on my back and I'm thinking to myself, oh, heck, what is going to happen now? I tried hollering for my neighbor, but he was inside his still building, doing something with his motorcycle, and he couldn't hear anyway because he'd worked in the oil field business. And then I said, okay, God, all right. I actually started laughing. I said, God, what's going to happen here? I can't move. I have a stallion pawing at my feet to get up. It's getting colder and colder. I'm getting wetter and wetter. And pretty soon it's going to be dark. So who or what are you going to send over here to get me to the hospital? And about 5 minutes later, my neighbor's brother drove in the driveway, and I screamed my neighbor's name at the top of my voice. I screamed it several times. And my neighbor's brother, fortunately, heard me because he could hear, and he started running across the pasture.
Mm,
And from there, he got me into the hospital.
wonderful story. I love it. And then you can, when you write a story, you could wrap it up with a lesson, like what the
Yes.
realization, right?
Oh,
Perfect.
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
perfect.
And the lesson is I have no control over just about anything, and I really have to trust God.
There you go. All right. Thank you for sharing that. It's beautiful. Awesome. So you see that any incident, when you look at it, can actually have a story. So Melody's asking, my story is about how my dad taught me leadership over my life. So there's several side stories. Absolutely. Is that all right? Sure. When you're writing for, an impact story, you want to choose one. You may have to write several and then choose one, right? And so that's beautiful because either you're writing a book or you're going to write several contributions to different books. So it's awesome. Wonderful. And Melody, Melody loves your story, Sally. So thank you for sharing. So I'm so glad you all are getting this. You're totally getting this. You have now the framework for what is your impact story. And again, one of your impact stories. You have many. And so you definitely want, just like Sally was describing, is captivate them. You want to use all 5 senses. So Sally, when you're writing it, you might go ahead and say that, the mud smelled, like dank, and you could use the senses is all I'm saying. And you did a fabulous job in and of itself. I'm just giving you, getting everyone different. Yeah, the pain was extremely seared through my. The minute I tried to crawl, it was a no-go because the searing pain went from my, it couldn't avoid the sensations in my hip, and I knew something was wrong, and I knew it wasn't going to be good to move. So I, and you just want to build that tension, right? That's what's going to help do it, is using those senses. Let your personality and passion shine through. If you have a sense of humor, let it out. It's fine. You don't have to be, don't worry about perfection or saying it right. There's editors for that, right? So, and you can think about telling the story to a single person, your ideal client, a grandchild, it doesn't matter. Whoever you want to position that you're telling the story, don't think like you're, to all you people out there, there's only one reader reading this at a time. So just think about the one reader, okay? But you may be finding this a bit easier to craft a story as we've now walked you through this process, or maybe this still feels challenging. Either is fine. You don't have to have the answers today, but you have a framework you can really sit with on your own time. And moving from a worksheet to a book or a chapter in a book may feel like a leap. And that's where our challenges come up. So I want to just put it out there, shine the light on the elephant in the room. You might have common writer challenges, and this is okay. You might think, I'm not a good writer. I get writer's block. I don't know how to get started. I don't know what to write about. Still, I don't have time to write. No one wants to hear my story, okay? Yeah, anybody can relate to any of these? Or do you have another one that you're maybe struggling with? You can chat about that. Yeah, time, definitely. The good news is regarding time, Sally, in particular for you, you just spoke your story in about 2 minutes. You could record it and put it through an AI program and it would transcribe it for you, or Zoom now transcribes even. So there are so many easy ways to get it done, especially if you're a good storyteller verbally, right? So let's turn these mountains into molehills and say goodbye to those challenges and obstacles. Okay, to make it super easy to accomplish, you need the following: a support structure, similar to what we've started on here today. Begin to map out the story you'll tell, and have a timeline, a roadmap. We all need goals and deadlines to move our ideas into action. You'll want to get training, because there's many components to writing a book and to marketing that book, or to writing your story or writing a book chapter as far as getting your story publisher ready. Okay. So you need to know what to do that. You'll want to have an editor, graphic designer, publishing team, and marketing. So that goes along with editing. And then I recommend start with a story. If you don't have all those things, an editor, graphic designer, publishing team, and marketing team, start with a story in a collaborative book, right? Yeah. And Microsoft Word, right, Sally, will also transcribe for you. So will Google Docs. So with the right training and the roadmap and support, you can become a better writer. You can work through your writer's block on support calls with a support community. You can get started today and keep going. We are just getting started today, so don't let momentum, don't thwart your momentum. Keep going with this, finish your story, clarify what you want to write about. So if you get to the end of the first story you've been telling and it's, there's some better story and you write another one, that's fine. Just go through those outlining steps again. You will want to make some time. That means looking at your calendar and putting in the deadlines that you set out or have been set out for you to write your story. And if you're going to do a story in a book, it's only 1,000 words. In particular, if you're going to join our book, Voices of the 21st Century, it's only 1,000 words. And you may have to write 2,000 and then narrow it down. That's fine. That works really well, actually. And I highly recommend belong to a community, join a community, a growing community of best-selling authors who are transforming lives. It is so inspiring. It's so uplifting. It propels you and makes it so much easier to do. So just a few tips, because the story will bloom. Your story. What if you had a proven roadmap, a support from community of writers, an editor, a coach, a publishing team, and a manager? And you were given the timeline, the goals, the training, the roadmap, the whole roadmap. And you had the marketing plan set up, the graphic designs provided for you, and the technical aspects of publishing all taken care of for you. Did that make it simple? Yeah, it would make it super simple, not only to get published, but also this plan includes becoming a best-selling author. So I'm here to tell you, and Gail's here to tell you, it's completely possible. We've got all that handled. Your focus is just on writing your story. And that's why we spent the bulk of the time actually having you do your outline and sharing about your story. So now that you've gone through our little framework here, and you know that the publishing side could be handled for you and the marketing with you, and you'd have a support community, how do you feel about writing a story and getting it out there? Some of you were at 9 or 10. Are you still there? Are you 10 or 11 now? Amber, great job. 10, 9, 10, 10 plus. Tracy, love it. So we did our job here today because you're all above that 5 mark. That's awesome. And if you're below the 5 mark, it's okay, fine. Sometimes we all go through our own process, but I'm here to say that your considerations can be handled, and we have so much available for you. So I'm so glad to hear you're moving on this scale higher and higher, because your story does need to be told. And I want to bring Gail up to talk about potential next steps for you. I'm going to, I think I have to
Great.
start sharing in a different way. So I'm going to
All
stop.
right. No worries. That was awesome, Laura. Thank you. And I hope everybody here gets a feel, if you haven't ever worked with Laura before, how welcoming she is, how very easygoing she is. And she really does create an environment for our authors to have that safety, because we do come into an experience together where we don't know anybody, we don't know what to say, and we're dealing with our own little voices on our shoulders telling us you can't do this. So and if you've been with Laura before, I mean, I'm happy to hear share what your thoughts have been during your experience, and if you've felt that to be empowered to share your story. So we want to keep it really simple all the time. And for those of you who were not that 5 and above, uh, let's explore together. We have an application process for Voices of the 21st Century, but there's a little bit more to it, so just hang on. If you went to voicesofthe21stcentury.com, you'll see that we offer an experience we're accepting applications right now to become part of our next book. But the bigger piece of this is every application that comes in, I will be reaching out to you and we're going to have a call. Now, the good thing about this call is to explore your story a little bit more, see how you're feeling, and where you want that story to go in this world. And maybe it's your own book, maybe it's you want to start off with a story, you want to explore this. It just gives us to a real personal one-on-one time. So so I would encourage you, if you want to uh, talk about the story you just did, or other things that are in your mind about writing a story, please just go there, fill in an application. It's pretty easy. And I will go ahead and reach out and we'll have a call and we'll chat about it. From there, we'll move on to next steps if there's a fit for both of us, and that would be awesome. So I'm happy. I know that someone just actually booked while we're on the call here, so that's really fantastic. Any questions? Please feel free, yes, to put your name or put some questions in the chat box. I'm happy to answer anything you have.
Yeah. And so in case you're not clear, here's the next things to do, whether you work with us or not. First, review your worksheet.
Yeah.
And your story ideas that are already in progress. Commit to making a bigger difference. That's really where Gail and I are coming from. It's like, we want you to have the biggest impact because we know every author's message matters. And we would love to support you in becoming a best-selling author. So if you're remotely interested, you want to learn more about it, You can see more about it on voicesofthe21stcentury.com, and then put your hat in the ring to talk to Gail. It's not a guarantee of being in ours, and it may not be the right fit for you, but there's nothing like having an inspirational call with Gail, let me tell you. So go for it. And I'm sure some of you who have already had calls, you can testify to the fact that this is really powerful to do just in general. So we love for you to do it. I mean, we've had so many different people sharing about, here's Natasha, sharing about you'll have nothing to lose but everything to gain from being a part of it. I've been a part of other collaborative books before. This one blew me away and that's why I'm now managing the authors, because there's nothing like the Voices of the 21st Century collaborative book process. It becomes a real sisterhood of support. It's not just you in a book and submitting a chapter. It's a real process that becomes a family and inspires you. And you heard that from JJ as well. So I'm not going to play my little thing.
Yeah.
I
think that's one of the better pieces, is the fact that it's just the women come together. They're forever bound by that front and back cover. And the power of that community is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And she made new friends, Irma's. We have so many. It's life-changing. Being in Voices opened up doors, personal and professional. I mean, Paula really has blossomed and gone on to get a lot of exposure, and for her message and seeing new opportunities. And she has and by the way, yeah, these are international best-selling books, which is so cool, right? So are we having some questions? Yes. Okay, great. Don't miss the call with Gail. Marsha's saying it's a powerful call. Fashad is saying, do you do this book yearly or sooner? Yearly. So let's talk about that. And then, yes, the process is definitely transformative. It is. And that's the whole goal. So,
yeah, it's designed as a platform to help you get your message out in a bigger way. We know that the celebrities and the big names have no problem getting their message out there. This is a book for us to have that platform that levels the playing field out there, because over the years we have gone toe to toe with many big names, right? And the book always does well, and it does well because the power of collaboration, when you have a group of women coming together on the same page, using the same language, promoting this book, it does such powerful stuff up there and out there in such a fast and actually quite easy way. So
yeah.
And Laura holds our hand the whole way through. Keeps us organized, keeps us on time.
We'll make sure that our book gets published on time. And so we are filling our 2025 book, which is at the beginning of 2025. You'll have your book in time for International Women's Day and all the holidays that follow that, So it's a really good way to start the year. We've put together a marketing plan for you. And you actually get marketing before the end of the year, right? You're going to get marketing right when you become an author. So we can leverage the whole this year and beyond going forward. Any other questions? Happy to field questions about writing your story, becoming a best-selling author, and we specifically, Gail, why don't we talk about the word collaborative, because it's different.
It is. This is everybody plays a part here. And we give ownership of that book to you. So something that we'll do a little bit different. This isn't just put your story in a book and have it show up. We want you to own this book. So everybody that is part of it gets what's called a custom cover. It's where your name goes on the front cover, where your picture and bio goes on the back cover, where only on your name on a spine of the book you see only your name. So inside in the interior, you'll see your story, and you'll see it conclude with your picture, bio, and website. So it is a marketing piece as well to help drive people to you. But in collaboration, we share in everything. Not only do we share in the costs of a book, but the marketing. And when it comes to a book, 10% is writing, 90% is marketing.
Please
So
remember that.
please remember that, because we've had a lot of solo people try, and it's not, I mean, we make it feel really easy. It works because there's so many amazing women, and we work with you on that. We teach you, you learn. And another big piece about I love that's really shines through is every single time we come together as a group, someone has an idea about what we can do after, and working together and collab. So then they'll break off into small groups, maybe by a country. I know the ladies in Bermuda right now are having a book launch tomorrow. I think it is. We have, so people can come together. They're sharing podcast spots with one another. They're sharing promotion. So the collaboration just continues on, because we're in partnership together and we really are supporting and promoting one another.
And we give a lot of visibility to our authors
Mm.
through the WSA channels. And we have, oh my gosh, so many great things to share. Please hop on a call with Gail, because there's too much to share right now, and you might have individual questions. So I definitely want you to leverage that. And
Yeah.
if I can be of support, you're welcome to connect with me. Oh, thanks for the little party hat.
Yeah, who's sending the party hats?
We can't tell. That's cute.
I can't tell who's doing that. That's fun.
I
Didn't know
know,
you could
it's
do
fun.
that. It's me, Sally. Yeah, Sally, we have to
Sally,
talk.
Sally's our party girl. Definitely
Party. Yeah.
put your hat in the ring there for a conversation with. There's no obligation for it, by the way. So you're very generous, Gail, to offer your time. I mean, where else can you speak with the head of an organization one-on-one about your story, your goals, and get a strategic call basically out of it? So this is your opportunity to do it, and
Yeah.
and then we can collaborate together.
Yeah.
We have a lot of experienced authors coming back to us because
Yep.
they love the community. They love the opportunity. They may not be writing a book at the same timing as we are. I wrote a chapter that is actually going to be a chapter in another book I'm writing. So it's giving visibility to that book that's coming out. It's pretty cool. So it can be
Awesome.
used as a marketing piece. Then you have 49 or it's anywhere from 30 to 40 other women marketing you and your forthcoming book by having a chapter in this book. Very cool strategy. Just saying, as a digital marketer, it's a good idea.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Laura.
You're
We don't
welcome.
have any more questions. I just want to really thank you for sharing your expertise with us. I mean, talk about generosity. You give so much to us as authors who are just either first starting out or continuing on, and being able to learn about how we can make ourselves more visible online and things like that. I mean, that is your area of expert. So I want to thank you for being, just sharing your heart. You're so kind and compassionate with us and patient. So thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody for joining us here today. Your time is valuable. It means a lot and to us that you share it with us. So thank you so much. Again, check out Voices of the 21st Century. Let's have a chat. And or if you know anybody that you think would also have a good story, we're going to send you out this recording. And you can share it if you'd like, pass it along. The more women that we can get to use their voice and their powerful messages, that's where we change the world, right? So let's do it together. And to everybody, I want to wish you a great day or evening or morning. And we'll talk with you again real soon. Thanks.